Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Coming Together LLC, where passion and pain meet. As you know, my name is AJ, and I wanted to kick us off this week. We have a great topic here this time, guys. This one's going to be more educational than anything else, and that's kind of how it's going to help bring people together. But this one is on the topic of immigration. So, as you all know, that I normally say from the East Coast to the West Coast and everybody in between, welcome. Um, Okay, so you're going to see me kind of veering off to the side here. I do have notes for this one because I wanted to make sure that I am on point with everything that I'm covering because some of these are hard, factual topics that I'm going to be touching on here for immigration and policy and things like that. And I want to make sure that I just have all the T's crossed and the I's dotted without missing anything or putting out any information that may not be true to form. Okay, so you see here on our screen, and I wanted to give them privacy and a little bit of protection here. I came across as a chance encounter, Savannah and Tommy, who are going through the immigration process as we speak through the marriage route. And they are this week's guests. So we're able to really get this from the horse's mouth, so to speak, on the things that I'm going to cover from what I found is factual through some online digging and double down on that with hearing it from their mouths on what they're actually going through. Hopefully those things line up, right? So I'm going to shift gears here and push this over. Tommy and Savannah, welcome. If you want to give the audience just a quick intro of yourselves, a little bit of background, how you guys met, because I know we're going through a marriage route here for you guys, and then just kind of bring us up to speed to where you're at today.
Yeah, so I'm Savannah from Alabama, and we kind of met because I went on vacation with my mom and ended up going over to Italy. We toured around, but then the first city we went to, which was Venice, was where I met Tommy.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm from Venice. I'm Tommy. Nice to meet you, everyone. And yeah, we met in Venice. So she was with her mom. And yeah,
We did the whole like traveling back and forth for a while, which like that gets expensive because at least my plane ticket going there was not cheap. It was anywhere from like $1,000 to $2,000. And then Tommy's plane tickets,
yeah, it's $800.
yeah,
Yeah.
800 to like $1,000. And so we did that quite a bit, which adds up. And then he came over here in March and
Yeah, March 16.
yep.
Yeah.
So we stayed over here and we did the whole like van life thing. So we toured around the United States in my van and then we decided or he proposed and then we just decided like let's not just like wait, like let's go get married and start the process because we know it's going to be a long journey ahead of us as well to start this. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
kind of where we're at now.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, guys. Tommy, welcome, right? And congratulations to you both on your journey and the marriage and where you're at now. I mean, that's a hell of a story, and you guys have a lot of stick to itiveness for getting into what you are getting into and going through to really make everything work. So
Yeah,
kudos to you both.
thank you.
Okay, I'm going to pivot us over into the now hard immigration topics, and for our viewers. Everything that I cover here, I'm going to preference with the source for where I'm pulling this information from. I don't want there to be any gray area or, AJ, you're making that up or anything like that. So everything that we go through for a touch point here, I'm going to reference where it came from. Feel free to go and background check that. If you disagree with it, that's fine. Coming together as a platform that should be about unity and bringing people together. This is one of those hard topics where politics kind of gets involved. I know it's very divisive. But again, like if we're able to have conversations that are open and honest about this with a core understanding, finding a middle ground, that's the point. So if there is any disagreement with anything that I'm saying and people want to either chime in, DM me, put things down in the comments, whatever, I'd be more than happy to take those on at face value and then do another episode, maybe a little bit down the road on this topic with one of you who see anything that I say in opposition. That said, immigration and this data source for these bullet points came from the U.S. Department of State. So you can look that up at the U.S. Department of State.gov. This is where everything that I'm about to rip through came from. So for Savannah and Tommy, let me know as I'm kind of going through. We can kind of do little stop points here on what you went through with this and what pieces of this you're using, because some of these have like forms that are multiple layouts of forms, and I know you guys are taking a very specific route. So first stage was just to go through immigration through marriage is the topic, eligibility fact that one must be a U.S. citizen. So obviously in this case, that's Savannah. Petition filing. Now, this is where I would say, guys, which one are you following? So I see a form I-130 here, which is a family base, and then a form I-140, which is an employment base to show marriage legitimacy. Did you guys roll through one of those two forms?
So we did the I-130 form. So that's
Okay.
basically like me being the petitioner. Like I had to submit all of my information showing like money wise financially I was able to like support Tommy
Mhm.
through all this since he's can't work right now. So that was like all of my information.
Got it. Okay. So 130 is what we roll with. Next stage that I had here was filing for those outside of the US that you had to run through the NVC, the National Visa Center, which is collection of fees, financial documents, online immigration visa applications, which is the form DS-260, all things that you have already been through, right through that 130. And did you run through that 260 as well?
We didn't, or
No.
no, we didn't do a 260, no.
Okay. Hey, maybe we're gonna learn both ways here. So maybe I pull out something out that you guys get to add to your repertoire of things to do and help make things faster. You
Yeah.
know, maybe we fall into something here. Next stage that I found here was adjustment of status. So if the foreign spouse is already in the US, they can file a form I-485, allowing them to adjust their status to a permanent resident. Or if the spouse is outside of the US, they need to go through a consular processing after the 130 is approved, which is probably the latter for you.
So after we submitted our I-130, which that was probably like the hardest form for like for me that I thought to submit, because not only do we have to like submit all my information, but like they also ask you for like pretty much like pictures from like the day you met to like now. So like if you're not good at taking pictures, you gotta learn how to take pictures because they want that proof.
Got it.
Just to make sure, it's all legit. And then
Right, right.
after that, we did the I-1485,
Yep.
and then I don't know what that one is. The 864. I'm trying to like remember all of them.
The 485 is the adjustment status for permanent residency.
Okay, yep. So we did
Yep.
that one, and then the work visa one as well, which is I think the I-765.
Okay.
So we did two.
Perfect. And next stage I see here is biometrics, which is basically foreign spouse needing to submit an application, undergo fingerprinting, background checks, so on and so forth, things of that nature. Already knocked out for you guys, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's already done for us.
Okay. And then in-person interviewing. Does this happen for you guys where you both were basically dragged in to interview with what I see is the USCIS, which is the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, going through a Q&A with them to verify basically authenticity of everything in person?
Yep. So we're like in the process right now, which it's funny, our attorney just now emailed us. So we're just waiting on the employment authorization visa, and
Okay.
then the interview would be the next step.
Okay, so upcoming. Perfect.
But I guess with the interview, it's like they just randomly pick. So like we might not have to do it, we
Oh,
might
you might
have
not have to
to.
do it.
I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, fingers crossed you scoot through that one then without having to do it. Okay, a couple more stages here I'm seeing for approval and green card issuance. If approved, foreign spouse receives green card, granting permanent residency. If the marriage is less than 2 years old at the time of approval, green card is deemed conditional, and the couple will have to apply to have those conditions removed after the 2 years, which is inside of that 2 year pocket for you guys, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I don't
We
know
already touched.
by the time we get the green card, if it would be, because they say like it will take probably like a year or so to get the green card. So
Okay.
not sure if it will be like after our 2 year mark or not. So I guess we'll just see.
Time will tell on that. Yeah, hopefully that lines up well for you guys and it just lands spot on. Documentation, I mean, you guys have already kind of touched on this, but numerous documents. It sounds like a very laundry list. I jotted down just a few as examples of marriage certificates, proof of joint finances, evidence of genuine relationships, photos, etc., the things that you just made note of. Is there any more out of the laundry list of things that you had to provide?
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, so for example, some letter from your family and your friends.
And then
Uh,
we both had to write a letter about like our relationship as well from like the day we met and just like what went on our entire relationship to that day. Um,
my birth
yeah,
certificate.
normal things like birth certificate, passport, IDs. We had to take like I call it our mugshot, for the passport photo. We had to take those, send that. Um, what else? I'm trying to think. All of my like is it your W-2? I always forget W-2. I had to submit all of mine for the last 5 years. Um, and same with like employment. We had to like put down all our employment for the last 5 years, where we've lived for the last 5 years. Lots of, yeah, information like that.
So, like applying for a mortgage or a car loan on steroids.
Yeah, for real.
Crazy. Okay. Next was processing time. So they have this laid out that processing times can vary, which makes sense, and typically will range from several months to well over 1 to 2+ years, all on a case by case basis. So some of the examples that I pulled from there were 5.5 months for naturalization. The form needed for that was an N-400, 7 months for employment. We noted that was the I-485, 8.5 months for a family base, also still working off of the 485. So is the time frame so far for you guys falling in line with everything that I kind of researched here? Longer,
Yeah,
shorter?
yeah, I think it's pretty similar because we started this in Ju
The end of
July,
July, yeah. The
technically,
beginning,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah.
was our appointment with like our attorney. So we started
Okay,
everything in July. So now it's just like we're done with everything. Now it's just waiting.
got it. Okay, so we're in the waiting phase. Looks like last piece here was path to citizenships, and that reads as after becoming a lawful permanent resident, that one is eligible to apply for citizenship through naturalization after 5 years of residency requirement, or it should be in your case, 3 years of marriage to a U.S. citizen.
Oh,
Something
okay.
that you guys already, am I giving you guys a new tidbit
I
there?
didn't know the 3 year of the marriage. I only knew the 5 years of living over here.
Okay. Again, like when you go back on this video, since I cited all the sources, you got it right there. We
Yeah,
just picked one up for you.
exactly.
Yeah. Shorten your time frame.
Yes.
Okay. Last thing I had was immigration attorneys are highly beneficial in helping smooth out this process and get people through from front to back. So, on that topic, I know that you made note that you do have an attorney with that. Can you walk everybody through on like how that came about, and then you touched on like the expense of it, like how costly that really is.
Yeah, so finding an attorney was really hard because like there's just so many and I mean, it just depends where you live as well. Um, Me personally, I wanted to go with someone that I knew someone that used him previously and really loved him because I also have another friend and her mom just got married to someone that's from London. And when he said, like, he's been over here for like 20 years, but he was like, my process, like, I didn't like my attorney. He was mean, rude, overcharged me, all the different things. So, like, I really cared about who I was getting. So, I went with an attorney out in California and just really wonderful people to work with. They help you with everything. And that's like the main reason I went with an attorney because I didn't want to fill out all the paperwork and make mistakes. And the paperwork, I mean, just like the I-130. I mean, it's like probably 6 pages, I think. But
Okay.
then like half of the information, when I look at it, the attorney skipped half of the information. And I'm like, how did they know to skip all this? Like I wouldn't have found that. And then
Yeah.
also like we also had to submit a I-130A, which is for Tommy. So knowing all the different forms and everything, like they know what they're doing. This is their job. They do it every single day. I didn't want to have to make mistakes. So where the so with our attorney, we spent about $4,000, like $4,075 for our attorney. And
Wow.
then yeah, which was, I mean, pretty costly, but then like you have to think about if you're messing up the form. So if you do it by yourself, and this is just like what we've heard from other couples that we've met. We met
Okay.
a couple in Colorado, and he was telling us how they've submitted the I-130, or no, they were submitting their I-485, and they kept messing up information on the paperwork, and they would
Okay.
have to resubmit it and resubmit more money. So the I-485 is $1,440.
Oh my God.
So, if you mess that up,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a lot of money right there to just fork out again. And you got to think about like most of these couples that are getting married, like they're only a one income household right now.
Right.
And we know cost of living is just really high right now.
Mhm. And so you touched on that being over $1,000 a shot, and with this being a immigration marriage, you know, whole process, one half of the two people is foreign, right? And not fully understanding possibly of like language, slang, like that kind of stuff. So did you guys see that like those forms where your friends were having to resubmit, were they a little tricky, almost like where you would say, oh, this is kind of like how they
Oh,
make extra money?
Oh, they are complicated. Like when I go through it, I don't understand some of the questions or what certain words are meaning. I'm like, I was constantly Googling stuff and I was like, and this was like before we decided to get married because like there was so many different forms. I was constantly, because like once we met and started dating, of course I was already researching all this to see what things were and how to go about it and how much it was going to cost. And I mean all the different forms and wording, it just was super confusing. And so that's why I was like, okay, we're getting an attorney
Ernie?
definitely.
Mhm. That's a lot, guys. And I was getting ready to
And that's
transition.
just like
God,
Sorry. I was just gonna say that's just like one form, So like the
right.
I-130 that we submitted, that one was 625. And then the work one was actually the cheapest. It was 260, which is the I-765. That one
Mhm.
was the cheapest. And then like we didn't realize how expensive like the medical stuff was gonna be because you have to go through like a medical evaluation.
Okay.
And if you don't have like all your vaccines, thankfully Tommy had his, and his mom was actually able to go get us a record of it and send it over to us because you have to show proof of it. And if you don't, you have to actually get all of those vaccines. And that adds up to a lot of money.
Yep.
So, like for him,
So for the blood exam was
yeah,
$300, and for two shots, 150, 160
yeah.
is another
Then you
almost
had to go again, I felt like, to get another thing.
now.
No, 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 no.
Ah,
No, I feel like you had to do something else, but I forget what it was.
no, but it's a lot of money for all this process. It's
Yeah.
it's
I
hard.
mean,
It's hard
still,
because yeah, I coming up with my money, no, because I work in all my life, but I spend all my money now. So
His whole
it's
his whole savings account, bye bye.
yeah, I think it's normal, you know.
No.
If you can work, you don't you don't receive money. I think it's normally this, but I think are the rules this here in the US? I follow the rules, and I think it's almost done now. With when I receive my work permit, finally it's done.
Hopefully sooner rather than later. I know what you just said for like all the vaccines, hundreds of dollars quickly can add up to thousands of dollars. And with the forms you're talking about, that will compound to more thousands of dollars if you're making mistakes. So thank God that didn't happen and you had your attorney. It's costly. Sounds
Yeah.
extremely costly. So to our viewers, I mean, you just got a roll up of a couple going through the process that's on the back end of things now, right? Waiting for the work side of things to be cleared and just these years of waiting periods. But along the way, I mean, you don't have to be filthy rich, but you need to have some money to get this done. And you need to have some stick to itiveness and stay the course. I mean, I can see how a lot of people can get derailed or sidetracked or discouraged by something like this, making it as hard as it is. But kudos to you guys for getting as far as you have. And I know that you'll finish the course here. You guys are a solid couple, so well done.
Thank you.
You
Okay, we are going to make another transition here since we just got through. I know our end result here is going to be to go through from permanent resident to citizenship, right? And we just found out a little tidbit that maybe we get that done in 3 years instead of 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So the pushover here that I wanted to roll through is going to be one that's going to pull off of your path and one that I just had a lot of curiosity for. So I pulled this in and wanted to actually get your guys' feedback on it as well, where we go over to immigration through refugees and asylees. Source for this one to our viewers is going to be the MPI, which is the Migration Policy Institute, and they collect data that's going to come from RAPS, which is the Worldwide Refugee Admissions Processing and Systems, and the DHS, which we know is the Department of Homeland Security. So this was a little more scripted, guys. So this is full of helpful information, though. So let's listen up on this one, and we'll see what our guests here have to say. So with the U.S. being a long-standing traditional country of welcoming those who seek protection and refuge, refugees and asylees are those who are unable or unwilling to return to their country of origin due to prosecution or a well-founded fear of persecution. Things such as human trafficking, gang violence, things of that nature. They are provided with numerous forms of assistance upon arrival, i.e., food, housing, healthcare. The U.S. RAP, or U.S. Refugee Admissions Program, is one of our formal systems for admitting and processing these individuals. Asylees apply for status while being in the U.S., while refugees will apply from their country of origin while being vetted abroad and then approved for resettlement here in the U.S. Both, however, are eligible to apply for their green cards after just 1 year. Arizona specifically, since this is where we are all, Savannah and Tommy here with my state as well. Arizona specifically has something called the RRP, which is the Arizona Refugee Resettlement Program. That is a program that's used specifically to assist and support with all of the things that I just previously mentioned, specific to our state here. Number of refugees, which here's a tidbit that I didn't know until digging into things, are set annually by the president with the help of Congress. That began with the Refugee Act of 1980. So been in play for a while now. That ceiling has been locked for 125. Oh, let's get that off screen. That ceiling has been locked at 125,000 for the last 3 years. So that would scoot through for our people who are leaning left or right to both administrations. That number hasn't budged. So again, that's a collective ceiling for refugees and asylees that our country has set to be allowed into the country and go through the legal process. Admissions has dropped drastically over the last year. The admissions was 100,000 back in 2024, which is now down to under 30,000 in 2025. due to increased restrictions. And with the flooding of people that we've had in over the last 4 years, I think it's a little self-explanatory as to why the restrictions got tighter. One question that does pop up here on both sides of the aisle is taxpayer funds and what they are used for. Like, are these used for refugees and asylees? Are they not? So through the sources that I cited, guys, they do, in fact, we do, in fact, voluntarily pay in to fund the assistance programs for refugees and asylees. That's to the tune of almost $2 billion annually, billion with a B. Source that I use for the data and what is actually paid out in these programs is called FAIR. That's the Federation for American Immigration Reform. Guys, feel free to look these up and double check me. But from the federal side of things, here's a quick list of what is under that programming, right? Federal welfare programs that refugees and asylees can access include the following: temporary assistance for needy families, formerly known as the AFDC. That's called the TANF now. Medicaid, that's always a big topic of discussion for whether or not that's something that taxpayers are involved in paying into with immigrants. Yes, it is. Food stamps, public housing, SSI, which is supplemental security income, Social Security disability insurance, child care and development funds, job opportunities for low income individuals, low income home energy assistance programs, post-secondary education loans and grants, refugee assistance programs, earned income tax credits, and additional child tax credits. All things that I can see for myself personally being handy and useful and needy for them. But as we get over to the state side, I actually tend to lean a little more into these for people needing these. So state and local welfare programs will include housing assistance, English as a second language for those programs, special education programs, job training and employment search assistance, social services programs, and immigration assistance programs to help aid in the application processes and all the things that we covered earlier in this video. Eligible, here's a good point here, guys. Eligibility for some of these programs should be set to expire after 7 years after the individual is admitted into the U.S. as a refugee or asylee. However, many of these programs are available as long as the refugee or asylee resides in the U.S. indefinitely. So, case in point here on this one, guys, is that someone comes in and has assistance programs that taxpayers put into, and theoretically, depending on their situation, could feed off of those for their entire lives and their time here in the US. One that I kind of lean on the side of, wait a minute, it's almost like we're raising our kids and you kick them out of the house at 18 and go to college and raise functioning adults. Go handle your adult business. I feel like 7 years is kind of a good marker to then say, okay, like you should be able to go on, so on and so forth to cover yourself, especially after what we went through with Tommy and Savannah here, covering their timeframes on what they have to go through to have him made into a permanent resident, go through to citizenship, and have everything situated for his work. That's all under a 7-year time span. Tommy, Savannah, I want to take a quick little pause on all my rhetoric here. Your thoughts on all of that data?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot, which like I understand both sides of it, I understand why we have so many illegals here in the US, but then I also understand why they come. You know, the process is very hard. And it was even harder if we didn't get married, the process was going to be even way harder for us. We
Mhm.
looked at every single way to what we could do. So I understand both sides of it. And I don't think like you should just like kick them out. I think, let help them get through the process and get them where they are citizens.
Tommy, anything to add?
I
Anything
think
to add?
no, I think no. I agree. I agree. All this, it's very hard. It's very, but not just only for me, for both, no, because Savannah helped me in all this process. Obviously, so she's American. She know better of me the rules here. And I think if you so she's not helped me alone. For me alone, it was impossible. It was impossible to make all this process.
But I think it's like even just like little things like I feel like here we're raised on technology, you know?
Hmm.
And but like over there he's like I've never gotten on a laptop.
Right.
No, it's in Italy, in Venice. So it's different culture. It it's at the beginning it was new, no, for me to understand, to learn, all of this. But yeah, in Venice, no, Venice, I think in Italy, because no, all Europe is the same, but in Italy, it's very different. So here is the business, no? For example, the business here is very good. The business.
And Tommy, let me reverse the question for you really quick. With you coming here, have you been a part of or witnessed or have any knowledge of folks from other countries, whether it be the US or anywhere else in the globe, coming into Italy and then going through that process? Do you know how that looks, how difficult that is in comparison to what you're having to go through here? And is there any kind of bombardment of people coming into Italy that would kind of stress the system?
So now I don't know, but I think it's more easy in Italy. I think, but I'm not sure.
So I looked up
I don't
most
know.
difficult countries to
It's
come into through immigration. The U.S. is within the top five. There were others in there. I think it was like China, Japan. There were some other hardcore ones that were in there, but we're definitely we're one of them.
Uh,
Okay, guys, quick pivot. And this is another point that I want to add in to kind of pull this segment topic together. 6.5 million individuals coming into the US illegally, unvetted, however you want to phrase that. There's been people talking on both sides of the aisle as to whether or not that number is like 8 million, 10 million, whether it's really two. That kind of pulls back and forth from left to right, so to speak, from our elected officials. But from the information that I gave you and the source that I was using to start this segment, that's where that number came from. So this is literally coming from government sites, 6.5 million. Previously, you heard me talk about 125,000 people are what were allowed in as a ceiling that the president sets with Congress. Well, if you take that 6.5 million and divide it by 125,000, that number is going to land on 50, 52 to be exact. Technically, I'm going to round it down and make the math easy, but that's 50 times the amount of people. We have people that talk about a broken immigration system, and that's true to form, but it's going to be even more so when you stress the system with 50 times the amount of people that were planned and allocated to be brought in through the legal route, right? We're talking about people that have come in unvetted illegally. Again, like however you want to phrase that is irrelevant, but it's just too many people. I like to use an analogy of individuals in their current living situation for themselves and their family when you're talking kind of on a political topic. Like if you're open to doing something within the household, cool. Stress and be an activist to do that throughout the country. But if you're on the other side of the spectrum, if you're not willing to do something in your own household that you would then turn around and say, we need to do that for the country, it's almost like you're not kind of thinking outside of yourself and what the ramifications are. Look at it this way. There was a household that held 5 people in it, 2 parents and 3 kids. And then you ask them within your, let's just say it's a 5 bedroom house, to take on 50 times the amount of people and bump that number up to what, 250. There isn't a person on the planet that's going to okay that, right? Between the finances and being able to feed, house, clothe, educate, which are all the things that the system will do for immigrants. If you were to try to do that as an individual in your household with, another 200, 250 people, all of which you don't know, by the way. So there's also the aspect of, are they safe? Are there criminals involved in there? Which I'm not even going to go into. That's a whole different topic, but it's open for possibility when you have people coming in unvetted that that you don't know like who they are, what their backgrounds are. So with that said, and that little tidbit, Savannah, Tommy, what are your thoughts on that dynamic of things? I know that we all can agree to having an open heart to bringing people in, but the legal aspect of it and the amount of people that have been kind of flooded in over the last 4+ years, what are your thoughts on that? And then how to handle what to do? Do you think that there should be, I mean, deportations, like maybe they should be put into like a situation where they're kind of held for that 1 year, right? Like refugees and asylums are. But with that said, the refugee portion was one where they're supposed to be vetted in their other country before even coming here. That's supposed to be approved prior. So all of these people would need to be flat out asylum seekers. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
Yeah, that's a tough one because I mean, like you said, I mean, there's no way, I could help more than one person, even if there is one other person. I mean, financially, I couldn't help anymore because like we're stretched thin with just with all the legal fees and him not working and everything right now. So but I don't think you just like kick everyone out. Like you figure there has to be some way or something to help. I mean, whether it's make the process easier, a little more affordable, maybe yeah, still get an attorney if you want, but like make it where maybe you don't have to get an attorney and it's a little more cost affordable.
That's one I think we can all agree on. That when we talk about a broken immigration system, part of it is the cost, which you guys have documented out for us through your own experience, and thank you for that. But the consumption of time, it's forever and a day. It can just be something that drags out so much for so long, almost like going through a court case, right? Like a really in-depth court case, and you need attorneys to kind of prove your side, and another side has a bunch of money and just kind of drains you out from all of your finances and your time and your energy, and you can't go on with the court case because you're just lost for those factors. I feel
Yeah.
like immigration on this topic is similar in a way.
Yeah, and I mean like I think one side that people don't even think about that like it's just a funny topic really, but like being together 24/7. Like I work from home, so I'm home all the time. And so now Tommy, he's at home because like he can't go out and work or do anything. So like we're stuck with each other literally almost 24/7. That can also, I'm sure some marriages, it has made it where like it just didn't work for them because they didn't want to be together 24/7, you
Yeah.
know? And then oh, I was about to say something along that. Oh, like making it a way of like, okay, you're coming over here, you're starting the process. Like, I feel like once we submit everything, maybe like give that person some sort of like way to be able to work and not continue to like wait this long. Because like, I don't know how long it's going to be till we get the work visa, but like it's going on, it could be a year that he hasn't worked and made any sort of money.
That's too long. And again, like we talk about people that own some kind of business, are able to provide work, right? And off of the AI topic that's kind of taking over the world right now. But if it's hands-on work, there's, some of that where, you'll have an employer that'll do it kind of off the books, right? Kind of like behind the scenes, like whether it be in like farming or anything like that, or like painting houses or like something simple where someone can go and make money, but it's scooting through the system, right?
Yeah, and
I
I
mean,
mean,
I
well,
think,
that's a scary thing of like, oh, do you want to go like try to make some sort of money? But like we've just decided no, because like we don't want to get in trouble in any sort of way.
right, right. And it's good that you're on the path, following the path and doing it the right way. On that topic, we had discussed when we originally met um, about the whole dynamic of ICE and kind of the fear factor that's put into people that are, coming here from another country. And how has that experience been for you? And I think there was an example that you had of a friend that kind of got caught in the weeds with that for not doing
Yeah,
paperwork.
we've had a couple different. thing. So like it's one just been like scary, like we drove from Arizona back to my hometown because we came here when we were doing van life. We came here to look at apartments of where we wanted to live. And so like then we had to drive all the way back home. So like at that moment we had our attorney had didn't submit our I-130 form. So like of course I was really worried about like getting pulled over or you know going through border control, anything like that. So like I was really scared to do that, but like we were doing the stuff that our attorney told us to do. So it was also like really scary though, but like we had to go home, get our stuff, come back. So just like the fear of like that kind of behind us, or like when we went to go take our biometric test, or when he went to go take his biometric test, we were being told by some people that actually live here at the apartment where we're at that ICE was sitting at the biometric office and waiting for people to come out and just like taking you right then and there because they know technically you don't have your visa yet because you have to do the biometric test in order to get your visa.
Right.
And so like I was actually really nervous to go to that, but like everything was fine. It was great, very nice people, no complaints whatsoever. And then
Okay.
yeah, having a friend that, he was scared his work visa expired. He was scared to go to his appointment that he had to get it renewed because of just everything going on in the world. And he missed it. He didn't go. And then I think, honestly, a couple days later, ICE showed up at his door and he went back to Mexico. So it sucks, but I understand why he was scared. But then at the same time, like you gotta go. You gotta go to these appointments.
Right. Right. Yeah.
Right
I
way.
mean,
Was doing it the right way.
that's a person who was doing it the right way, got scared out of doing one step to keep it right. And then all of a sudden, boom, right? Like that's what
Yep.
they're looking for, which is unfortunate because that sounds like someone who has been and was currently doing everything right and just had a little bit of a lapse, like if you don't pay a bill on time, you get a grace period, right?
Yeah, yeah,
You don't have
exactly.
the lights just turned off. You don't just have the, person foreclose on your house. There's a little bit of time, to kind of help you out. I think that our government should fall in line with something like that, to give people like a helping hand. Like not everybody's out to commit crime and murder.
Yeah.
Hmm. Okay. Guys, I'm going to pivot one more time, and this is going to bring us to the tail end of things. The coming together platform, folks, is one that again is one of unity, right? It's about trying to bring people together from conversational points that may be in opposition to try to find a middle ground. Good deeds. Some of you have seen probably on like our Facebook and Instagram that you see me kind of helping out, like maybe homeless randomly, like feeding them, like just pulling off on the side of the road and doing good deeds. Anything that can help bring people together and uplift in a time and age where in our country there's just so much divide. If it's a political topic, it's so polarizing and divisive. This platform is meant to be one that can just help bring things together. That said, this segment in particular, I hope was educational, is the tie-in piece that I want to bring to everybody. Educational for everyone watching. Maybe there are some people that are in a similar situation with Savannah and Tommy or looking to get into something like that. And this had some tidbits of info that we ripped through that will help you along and speed up the process. Or in their case, maybe like the 5 year versus the 3 year, right? Maybe you find something out that will just kind of fall in your lap and help you along a little bit faster. So Tommy, Savannah, I'm going to rip through a couple things here that I had as just a list of things as how to help. It's really all things that we touched on. Let me know if I missed anything here, if there's anything that you would like to add based off of what you guys have gone through, right? So steps to assist on immigration, understanding the immigration process, which I went through a lot of things online to dig up things that I had here in this segment, which were, eye-opening to me in a lot of ways. Help with the paperwork, connections with legal resources, providing emotional support. We're talking about ICE. Like, some of these things can just be mentally rattling. Engaging with community organizations, debunking myths and misinformation, right? Which again could maybe tinker on the side of like ICE, like are they really scooping up people? Are they really not? If you miss paperwork, is there another fee that you're going to have to pay? You guys answered that like yes, like don't mess that up, which probably steers somebody back to legal assistance with an attorney. And then of course financial support, which you guys have already laid out everything that was so burdensome and adding up, as a massive pile of fees and funds and things that you need to get this whole thing knocked out. Is there anything else that you guys know from being through the process to where you're at and what you're getting ready to go through to finish up that would be helpful tools from just a regular person like myself to help you guys out?
I don't think I mean, I feel like you've pretty much hit all the nails on the head. Like it's, I mean, biggest thing is like, I mean, do your research, figure out which option is the best option for you. Because I mean, there's a lot of different options, which I didn't realize that there are a ton of different options that or routes you can go about. And like do your research and figure out. But that was also like, I'm all about getting an attorney because they know what they're talking about and they know the information like the back of their hand.
Absolutely. Okay. Um, Guys, I'm going to look to bring us home here now. So with that said, first off, Tommy, Savannah, thank you very much for coming in and doing this segment with me. I really appreciate you guys. We're both here in Arizona and now we have each other's information, so I know we'll be able to keep touch. I'd be thrilled to be able to get out with you guys and just kind of follow your journey down the road. Maybe get out and have a bite, or something like that, or a drink at some point since we're in each other's backyard. But congratulations again on the marriage and getting to the point where you have thus far, and continued success and best wishes on closing things out and having Tommy not only get through for the work portion of things that he needs to lock up, but locking down that permanent residency and transition to citizenship as well. A couple years out, but Tommy, I know you'll get it done. I have full faith in you guys. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you very
you.
much.
Okay. Okay, folks. So in closing remarks, you know that I always kind of close these out in a similar fashion. We just covered the part about like what brought us together on this and how can this be helpful. So hopefully this was good for everybody watching. And again, primarily an educational piece, if nothing else. But if there are any that are in opposition to anything that I said, by all means, I welcome that. Hit me up any way possible. And we could have another segment on talking points for maybe the two sides of this that we were talking about, through immigration, through asylum and refugee seekers and things of that nature. But as always, and I want to add one little wrinkle into things this time, and this will be in there going forward. Just ask yourselves, what good deed have I done this week? This platform, if it's one that grows, and that can be answered affirmatively with something that you've done, will just get bigger and bigger and bigger. And this is a slow crawl building process to get to something where we make it a movement, really is what I want it to be, right? So if you have something that's a really standout good deed or act or humanitarian piece that you've done, share it. You'll see in the bio here that there's links for our Facebook and our Instagram. Share that stuff here with me. I'd be more than happy to bring that on and have a conversation about it if it's something that can further help bring people together. That's the whole point here. That said, stay safe, stay healthy, my brothers and sisters. Love you guys. Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. And you know that we do this every 2 weeks on Tuesdays. So I will see you all in 2 weeks with a hot new topic. Everybody take care. Have a good night.